Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something you probably don't think about much, but it's fighting a war for you every single day, your air conditioner. We're going to look at what it really takes for these things to survive in one of the most brutal environments imaginable.
And let's start with this, because trust me, this is no exaggeration. This is the reality for millions of people. It perfectly captures that high-stakes battle for comfort that's happening inside your home, a battle your AC unit is fighting literally around the clock.
So, to really get a grip on this, we're going to zero in on one specific location, Four Corners, Florida. Think of this place as our ground zero, our case study. It's a true battlefield that shows us just how much stress these cooling systems are really under.
You know, the numbers here really paint a picture. It's not just about the temperature hitting 95. It's that crushing humidity that makes it feel like 105. It's like you're living inside a giant, hot, wet sponge. And this isn't just for a week or two. Your HVAC has to deal with this day in and day out for 8, 9, sometimes 10 months of the year. It's relentless.
So what does all that mean? Well, it means an AC unit in a place like Central Florida is working, get this, 3 times harder than one in a cooler northern state. Just think about that. 3 times the wear and tear, 3 times the strain.
And believe it or not, the heat is just one part of the problem. It's more like a multi-front war. You've got corrosive salt air just eating away at the metal components. You've got those classic afternoon thunderstorms unleashing power surges that are just death for electronics. Then there's the super dense pine pollen clogging up the filters, basically choking the system. And on top of it all, that constant sticky humidity forces it to work overtime just to pull water out of the air. It is a full-on assault from every possible direction.
Okay, so how on earth does this machine fight back? I mean, it's got to have a strategy, right? To figure out where it breaks down, we first need to understand how it actually works. So let's do a quick anatomy lesson. Break down the core parts.
It's actually a pretty brilliant, simple cycle. Think of it like a heat sponge. Step 1. The evaporator coil inside your house soaks up heat from the air. Step 2. The compressor, which is really the heart of the whole operation, squeezes the refrigerant, making it super hot. Step 3. That super hot refrigerant goes to the condenser coil outside to dump all that heat it collected. And finally, Step 4. An expansion valve resets everything so the cycle can start all over again. It's this continuous loop of grabbing heat from inside and throwing it outside.
But like any soldier in a long war, even the toughest machine has its breaking point. Under that constant, relentless attack, things start to fail. So let's look at the most common casualties in this battle. First up, you've got refrigerant leaks. Refrigerant is basically the lifeblood of the system. Remember all that salt and humidity? Well, it attacks the copper lines and creates these tiny, microscopic leaks. As that refrigerant bleeds out, the system's ability to cool just gets weaker and weaker, and that puts a huge strain on everything else.
And that brings us to the big one, the most catastrophic failure of all, the compressor. This is the heart of your system, the hardest working part. And when it's already stressed, and you add low refrigerant from those leaks, plus power surges from storms, plus dirty coils trapping heat, well, it's a total recipe for disaster. The compressor just gives up, it burns out, and that is a very expensive repair.
And here's something that's just maddening when you think about it. A simple problem like leaky ducts, hidden away in your crazy hot attic, can waste up to 30% of all that cool air you're paying good money for. So your system is running its heart out, and a third of the cold air is just disappearing. No wonder it's struggling.
And finally, we've got the brains of the operation, the electrical parts. Components like capacitors, they're like the spark plugs that give the motors a jolt to get started. They get cooked by the extreme heat and zapped by those thunderstorm power surges. And the crazy part is, one of these little, inexpensive parts can fail and shut down your entire system instantly.
Okay, so the worst has happened. Your AC is down. Now you're facing that big, expensive question, do I repair this thing or is it time to just replace it? Well, there's actually a simple little rule of thumb that can really help you make that call.
And that decision often revolves around one magic number, $5,000. Now, this isn't some law written in stone, but it's a great anchor point for a quick calculation that can bring a lot of clarity when you're super stressed out.
So here's how the $5,000 rule works. It's super simple. You take the age of your system in years and multiply it by the cost of the repair you're looking at. If that number you get is bigger than $5,000, it's a pretty strong sign that you'd be throwing good money after bad. Replacement is probably the smarter financial move.
Let's just run through a quick example so you can see it in action.
Okay, let's say your system is 12 years old, which, is getting up there for an AC unit, and you're looking at a $500 repair bill. So you multiply 12 years by $500 and you get $6,000. Since $6,000 is way over our $5,000 threshold, the rule is basically screaming at you, it's time to start shopping for a new system.
Okay, that was a lot of doom and gloom, but here's the good news. You are not helpless in this fight. There are things you, as the homeowner, can do to support your AC unit. Think of this next part as your homeowner action plan. A few simple but seriously effective rules to help your system win the war.
Rule number 1, the 2-foot rule. This is so easy. Your outdoor unit needs space to breathe. It has to pull in massive amounts of air to get rid of all that heat it collected from your house. If you let bushes or a fence get too close, and we're talking about a minimum of 2 feet of clear space all around, you are literally suffocating it. That makes the compressor overheat and work way, way harder than it needs to.
All right, next up, the 3-minute rule. This is crucial. If the power blinks or if you turn the system off at the thermostat, do not turn it right back on. Why? Because the compressor needs a few minutes for the pressure inside to equalize. If you force it to restart against that super high pressure, it's like trying to start a car that's already in 5th gear. It's one of the quickest ways to cause some serious damage.
And finally, here's your basic maintenance checklist. Look, things like changing your air filter regularly, hosing down the outdoor coils to keep them clean, and having a pro come out for a tune-up, these aren't just annoying chores. Think of them as giving your soldier fresh supplies and armor. These are the critical actions that will extend the life of your system and keep it fighting effectively for you.
So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? Your HVAC system isn't just a box that makes cold air. It's a soldier on the front lines, fighting a brutal, invisible battle for you every single day. And now that you know what it's up against, you know the enemy, you know the battlefield, the real question is, are you going to give it the backup it needs to win?